Oh, yeah.
It is picture perfect weather for endurance competition, and this is the Breakfast of Champions.
50 laps around the track on the way. You see the full field here. A couple other walkers to keep their eye on include the 41-year-old from Salem, Oregon, Stephanie Casey, who's been competing for decades at these events, also works as a family practice doctor just down the road. Here is Harris again. She said she lost that passion after college and needed those couple of years to reset, refocus, and has come back walking faster than she ever had in her career. And as you look ahead toward a home Olympics in 3 years, she is not far off the standard. And you see how she's feeling today. She immediately goes to the front here right out of the chute. Her coach, Maria Michikoff, going to try and keep pace with her early, but Harris will be walking at a pace faster than most of the women in this field right from the start. May have to solo 50 laps here.
It does look like it's going to be a solo event for her. We're about 100 meters into this race, and she already has a solid 7 to 10 on the field, trying to establish that nice early effort. And look, I don't want to call this a marathon because it's farther than a marathon. We have 8 further K than a normal 42-kilometer marathon, but on the start line right now, we have the men's field.
That'd be the 50K race. We're with you for 20K today, so 50 laps around the track. Got the men's 20K race walk here with Nick Christie. He has been the dominant force in men's race walking in the United States, now walks for the U.S. Air Force World-Class Athlete Program. He's won more than 20 national championships as well, including last year's Olympic Trial Championship. He's got some competitors who are trying to get a little bit closer to him, though, as we'll get them off, and we'll talk about this guy, Jordan Crawford, the 25-year-old. He's gone sub 130 in this distance, second behind Christie at USATF indoors. He was third at Olympic trials last year. Jason Churng, only 25 years old, has also gotten his best down below 130 to 127.19. Another contender just trying to get a little closer to Christie, who in general over the last few years has a lot of events that look like this, where he, like Harris, goes out early, builds a lead, and holds it the rest of the way. You see the full field here. Also keep your eye on Emmanuel Corvera in this men's race. He has been a consistent second place finisher at these big national championships, but good this year. He picked up the USATF Indoor Championship in the 3,000 and won the 20K team trials earlier this year. Here's Harris, already cruising out ahead. She had a first 400 of 1 minute and 49 seconds, 10 seconds ahead of the next closest, Maria Michikoff, and they have separated from the peloton behind that is much more bunched together. Harris, now 26 years old, from Long Island, which is a race walking hotbed. New York, in general, has had race walking sponsored as a high school sport for longer than most other states in the country. It's built a strong program. Maria Michikoff has coached a lot of young high schoolers on Long Island, including Harris from her early days, and that's led to it being one of the elite areas for race walking. You see Harris and Michikoff, your top two. Harris said a lot of credit to her dad these last couple of years too, because he goes out on a lot of her training efforts with her, keep her motivated, keep her on time, and she is out in front very early, as is Nick Christie, who was introduced to race walking by legendary Tim Seaman, one of the race walking ambassadors here in the United States. Christie was a good middle distance runner at the junior college level, and when you talk to folks in the race walking world, when they say they are looking for folks that they hope can maybe make the transition to race walking, they look for 800-meter runners. They said that the type of cadence that you need in your turnover your feet kind of matches 800-meter runners best. So that's where they kind of look to for recruiting, as Lauren Harris continues to work her way through. 3:36 into this race. Harris coming up on 2 laps down, 48 to go at this point. You just kind of have to ignore the lap counter if you're one of these athletes and settle into a rhythm, Will.
Absolutely. You want to turn your mind off and let your body do the walking. We were just talking about the athletes that are recruited for this event, and you can watch it in the stride and in the cadence of each of them, that it does require a bit of fast twitch muscle fibers. This is not just a slow gallop out there like the marathon. And again, excuse me to all the diehard race hard fans, 50 laps, not 50K. So, you know, it's still early. We're waking up here in the broadcast booth. But one of the things I wanted to call is Nick Christie. I've known Nick Christie for decades. Nick was telling me that he needs to go out and he's going to try and go for a sub 84-minute walk today, because this is the things that will they're trying to gather not only world ranking points, but Nick wants to go after the facility record here of Haywood Field.
Look at the penalty box over here on the finish line area of the track down the home stretch. You don't want to end up there, but 3 penalties gets you into the box. The officials you saw sitting at the finish line are watching each of these walkers to make sure that they are following proper form, 1 foot in contact at all time. You got to have the straight leg as well, and if you pick up a foul, you will be alerted by officials with the red paddles on their way around. Again, 3 sends you to the penalty box, which basically knocks you out of the race. You get back in and you pick up a 4th, and you are disqualified from the race. So you mentioned Christie chasing the facility record, trying to get closer to that standard and ranking points to get in as well. Lauren Harris is not far off the standard. The World Championship standard for women is 1 hour, 29 minutes. Again, Harris walked that 1 hour, 31 minute, 52nd American record just 2 months ago. So that's attainable for her as well. We have her first kilometer split. She went 4:36.2 over the first kilometer.
And while the World Championships obviously is the primary goal for a lot of these athletes, including Harris and Christie, there's also other teams to qualify for this year, Paul. We have a North American, Caribbean American, also called the NACAC Championships, that is going to do a lot for these athletes' rankings. If they can put themselves on that team, then they will have a great opportunity to utilize that as another stepping stone to catapult themselves up into the world rankings.
Well, you can tell Nick Christie's determined for that fast time today because he is going at a really hard pace early here. Christie through his first kilometer in 4:20. And you mentioned that the fast twitch, the speed. I mean, he's on about a 22-minute 5K pace. If you've ever run a 22-minute 5K, you know that requires you to be right around 9, just a touch under 9 miles per hour. So try to walk with the form needed legally. Set your treadmill to 8, 9 miles per hour and keep a walking pace, and that's what these world-class walkers can do.
22 minutes wins a lot of local 5Ks, and this is what Nick Christie is doing right now with 1 foot always planted firmly on the ground. 20K, it's a distance that it feels long. When we talk about it in the terms of track and field, it seems incredibly long, but for these race walkers, it's short. A lot of our athletes are knocking on the door of qualifications in the longer event, the 35K. Yep. Nick ranked 52nd in the world right now. 50 is the quota, so again, hoping that some of these performances can catapult them just into that quota, or looking for a couple of scratches to get another nod into Tokyo for the World Championships as we look back right here on Harris.
Harris continues to lead by already 26 seconds over Maria Michikoff. Miranda Melville is in 3rd, leading a pack of 3, Melville, Burnett, and Harris. So 26-second lead for Harris. In the men's race, it's a 25-second or so lead, make it 26 seconds for Christie over Corvera. So both leaders have gotten out to pretty assertive starts over the first 7.5 minutes on the women's side, first 6:20 on the men's side. But as we mentioned, both Harris and Christie walking for time here, and big aspirations to make world teams. Yeah, you mentioned that the 35K, there's been a change over the last few years in the program at these major world athletics or Olympic events. The 35K kind of taking the 50K spot at World Athletics Championships. And then at the Olympics last year, it was 20K individual, and then there was the team relay where you switched off between a man and a woman from each country, and they each walked 10K, the other walked 10K, then 10K and 10K. So that's the picture looking ahead toward 2028 in Los Angeles. The U.S. will have a team as the host country there, so that's another big part of this. You want to be the top-ranked American. Make sure you earn your spot in that relay, and then obviously be on the start line for the 20K individually as well, as Nick Christie works ahead. You see Maria Michikoff, who's currently in 2nd place behind him, and she has just been so good for so long at 39 years old now. An American record on the road in this distance, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 49 seconds. London and Rio Olympian, 20+ national championships, including a 5K national title last year. And then the pack behind, so for the women, that's 3rd through 5th place in that trailing pack. Miranda Melville, Katie Burnett, and Angelica Harris. Melville, 36 years old, from outside of Rochester, Rush, New York. She was a 2016 Olympian and 6-time U.S. national champ, was the runner-up at the Olympic trials last year. We've mentioned Burnett, who is outstanding over the longest distances, the 50 kilometers and more. She was also a collegiate javelin thrower, javelin recruit to the University of Arizona, had a shoulder injury as a freshman at Arizona, went to William Penn University in Iowa, wanted to stay in the sport, and that's when she started to focus on race walking.
Yeah, these are athletes, Bill. These aren't, look, let's not put them into a narrow box of just being walkers. So varied are their skill sets. Obviously, the difference between a 20K and a 35K and then being able to race a 10K and a team relay, it takes skills, and those skills are imminent. But what I was going to say earlier is, you know, you think it would be a little bit boring to be Lauren Harris and Nick Christie. We have Katie Burnett right there on your screen in the black and the sunglasses, doing an excellent job sort of leaving that pursuant pack behind Harris and Mitch Coffey. But what I was gonna comment on was, you know, you'd think it would be boring to be so far out front just by yourself. You get lost in your own mental games. But one of the beauties of being on the track is you can always set your sights up to the next pack of runners, to that next person, and try and go catch them lap after lap after lap. As we're starting to see the sun sort of creep over that eastern wall and bathe this beautiful Hayward Field track with some sunlight.
Harris got through her first 1600 in the lead in 7:21. And is about to get her 2,000 meter split. She's been very consistent every lap so far between 149 and 151 low. So trying to hit that 110 second mark on each lap to get to the pace she's targeting today. Nick Christie will be coming up on 2,000 meters as well. He is just behind Harris. They'll both get their 2K splits here, Christie and Harris. Harris's 2,000 meter split is 11:01.8. And for Christie, he's through 2,000 meters in 10:06.5. So the two splits so far for Christie, 4:20.9 on those first 1,000. A bit longer in the second 1,000. Both leaders coming together here, and he's been averaging about a minute 38 per lap, Nick Christie. And on the Lauren Harris side, again, averaging something around a minute and 50 per lap, and trying to stick to those paces as Christie will go by Harris here.
One of the things I've been noticing is Nick is sort of attacking this race with a very furious effort from the gun. We can just see it in the difference in their facial expressions. Obviously, Lauren choosing to go with the sunglasses this morning, keeping those eyes, keeping that forehead relaxed. But Nick is very much working for this. He has a lofty goal, 83 minutes flat. That's the facility record. But he was going to start, he said this morning, on about an 84-minute effort and see if he can sort of inch it down lap by lap by lap to see how he is feeling. But Nick Christie right now really going after this with a lot of intent.
Looks to be feeling pretty well at the moment as he slides on by once again. So they're actually through 2,400 meters. Next check will be 2,800 meters, 7 laps down, 43 to go. The lead for Harris at the last time check, 50 seconds over Mitch DeCoffey, who then has almost another 30 seconds over the pack of Burnett, Melville, and Harris. Christie's lead is 47 seconds over the chase pack for the men, which contains 3 walkers, Emmanuel Corvera, Jason Churng, and Jordan Crawford. Those were the 3 we expected to see battling it out behind Nick Christie. They've all been pretty even in their best times over this distance. A couple on the younger side, Crawford and Churng at 25 years old. Corvera has been, again, the consistent second place finisher for years behind Christie at these races as Harris continues to go here, and again, keeping that contact on the track at all times with 1 foot to avoid the penalty. Harris, part of what's been kind of a new wave we've seen in some colleges, recruiting race walkers who also are good runners. Harris ran cross country for Marist on a scholarship, but then they also supported her race walking career once she got to the outdoor season through nationals as well while she was there. A similar story for Taylor Ewart, who was a great junior, went and ran cross country, even some steeplechase at Arkansas collegiately to start her college career, but then would focus on race walking as well. So seeing some college programs invest in young race walkers, know that they can help them, and there is that translation over to cross country as well.
Absolutely, and one of the things I was very excited to see this morning, because you know I'll be the first one to admit it, I don't get to come out and see a lot of race walks, but the technological shifts that we're seeing, which is boosting performances on the track in the distances, specifically in the middle long distances and on the roads in the marathon and the half marathon. We're not really seeing that so much in the walks because they're still subject to a lot of the World Athletics regulations on stack heights. So these athletes don't necessarily get to come out here and rock those 40 mil super shoes. But, you know, I do imagine that. I mean, I see Harris out there in a pair of New Balance with the new fuel foam, fresh foam. So they're taking advantage to the best of their ability. But here we have Nick Christie checking his watch, going to work, keeping a close eye on exactly what he needs to do today to still attack that 83-minute mark. And we have a strong pack here in the men's race coming up.
Yep, 3 walkers here racing for second place. It's Corvera, Churng, and Crawford. Emmanuel Corvera, 32 years old, from San Diego. Won the indoor national championship over 3,000 meters this year. You got Jason Churng, who you see wearing hip number 30, goes to UMass Lowell, where he majors in exercise sciences in the pre-PA program, and was third at USATF indoors, and then walked outdoors at the European Race Walking Team Championships, finishing 35th this year. And Jordan Crawford, at Missouri Baptist, he was the NAIA national champion in the race walk back in 2023. He was second at USATF indoors and second behind Corvera at the 20K team trials in Chula Vista earlier this year. These 3 very evenly matched, and all together here through 3,200 meters, 8 laps down, 42 to go. Christie has been consistent on his pacing. His 3K split was 12:35, and still walking about 100-second laps at this point. A minute 38 to a minute 41 has been his range on his laps so far.
So an 83-minute 20K comes out to roughly 139.6 per 400 meters.
So he's
split.
there right now.
Nick Christie is right there. He is locked in. The focus that we're seeing is immense. Again, he's keeping his eye on every single one of those time checks. Beautiful, beautiful clocks, big, easy to read clocks here at Hayward Field for all of these performers every 100 meters, so they can very much keep track of how they're progressing throughout this 20K.
And, you know, if you're attacking a time like this, this is not the typical setup for these elite race walkers. Often their big races are on 1K or 2K circuits, but if you're trying to attack a time and the split and keep your eye on the clocks, and the way Christie is really targeting a time today, being on the track can be really helpful, because you're getting that gut check every 400 meters of whether or not you are staying on the pace you're looking for.
Absolutely, and we talked about this earlier, where, you know, if he's out on there on that 1K circuit, maybe there are no athletes for him to chase every lap. And so right now Nick has his eyes. You can just watch him. You can watch his eyes gravitate towards that clock every single checkpoint. That's every 100 meters around the track. Big, beautiful. The men's and women's time sort of isolated there. Women in red, men in the black on the bottom, separated by what appears to be just over 70 seconds here. The start times were supposed to be staggered by a minute, but you know what? Maybe someone was a little slow to get their toe on the line. So a slight delta there, but Nick Christie continues to charge on in this 20K Race Walk U.S. Championship event, and we are keeping close tabs on every one of his 400-meter splits. As we said, 139.6 is the time that he is looking for every single circuit. He looked to, I think he's going to be lapping Maria Michikoff here for the second time. Obviously, we're seeing Nick put together a Herculean effort.
And that's 10 laps down for Nick Christie, 40 to go. Another 100-second lap, 1 minute 40 seconds. His last 1,000 meters in 4:10.1. And Lauren Harris will come up on her 4,000-meter checkpoint here when she makes it down the home stretch as well. We'll get a good idea of just where she is at timing-wise. Again, has already walked the track record for the United States over 20K, not the overall record, which was done on the road by Maria Michikoff. But if she can shave a couple minutes off that today, she would hit that world championship standard as well. And she has made her way through 4,000 meters. In 18:20.8, she hits another 150 flat lap. That's 2 in a row for her. Her last 1,000 meters over 4:35.5. You look at the world rankings for Lauren Harris, she's at 76th coming in, so needs a strong performance, not just on time, but on winning the championship as well to gain points. If she does not hit the world championship standard, that world championship standard is 1 hour and 29 minutes flat.
So the women's splits that she is looking to hit on that 89-minute pace is 146.8.
She is way under that right now, averaging about a 139 on her laps over the course of this competition. Grabbed herself some water quickly as well from those tables they have down on the backstretch. You will consistently see that here in the race walk. It's just like a road race where they've got the aid station set up. It is not unusual multiple times throughout the race for them to go over and use the aid stations.
Well, and the event organizers here have done a great job of setting up these drinks tables on the back stretch. Obviously, we have the penalty box on the home stretch. One of the things that you will notice different between some of the competitors, they might just be grabbing water, dumping it over their heads, keeping themselves cool. Although we do have, again, a nice cool morning. We also have personalized drink stations in the back. So I did notice a couple of the walkers out there this morning grabbing their own personal bottles that'll have their personalized formulations of electrolyte and carbohydrate to keep themselves fueled throughout this very, very grueling, long event this morning. 20 Ks, we're talking 80 to 90 minutes on their feet of very, very intense exercise. And, very similar to every other endurance event is you got to keep the calories flowing in.
There's Katie Miali, you saw grabbing one of her own personalized bottles there. Runner for the New England Walkers. Lauren Harris through 4,400 meters now, another 1 minute and 50-second lap. If she keeps churning these through, she's going to crush not only the American record, but also crush the World Championship standard. Now, we expect it gets harder to sustain the longer this race goes, but she's building herself a pretty nice cushion here going. You said 154 pace is what she needs, right, over the course of 400 meters?
146.
146.
So she's a little bit off that World
pace.
Championship standard.
Beg your pardon. She needs the 146 pace. She's at 150. But again, pounding this lead here, building a cushion over everybody else. And again, that 130, 150 may be attainable depending on how she tries to split this race front to back. Harris is now 1 minute and 25 seconds ahead of second place Maria Michnikoffi, who's another 40 seconds ahead of that chase group. Katie Burnett, Angelica Harris, Miranda Melville still in contention for third right now altogether. As we see Harris make her way around the bend, she'll come up on 12 laps down, 38 to go. Nick Christie's already on 38 to go as he leads the men's race there. Harris will dip to the outside here, weaving through traffic. You deal with traffic a lot when there's this many walkers, men's and women's race at the same time over the 400-meter races. Say hi and bye to your friends throughout the course of the race a number of times.
Well, you can just see how fast Harris is moving right now, blowing past competitors, leaving them in her proverbial dust. Lauren Harris very much having her set on that, 91.50, which is about a 150 clip. And here's the chase. These are the third and fourth place competitors right now. Katie Burnett continuing to lead that. One of the things, and again, we have a great shot right now with both chase packs of the men and the women. Emmanuel Corvera continuing to lead that men's pack, which has the second through fourth placers. I wonder in the walks how much it's important to follow versus to lead. And here we have Maria Michnikoffi watching her student in Lauren Harris come from behind here. Michnikoffi in a powerful second position in this race, light years ahead of third and fourth. But, a lot can happen. We are still early days into this race. And here is Harris again, about to lap her coach and mentor. But you know what? I feel like if you're Lauren Harris, obviously you have your sights set pretty high today. You have lofty goals. But if you're Michnikoffi and you see Lauren Harris coming by to lap you again, there has to be a little bit of a sense of pride, don't you think, Bill, where you have this athlete that you coach, that you work with day in and day out, who's putting every single piece of the puzzle together, and there are a lot of pieces in the race walk.
Good battle for second still in this men's race as well, and I agree with you. I'm sure she's happy to see that. But you got Crawford, Corvera, and Churng have been measuring each other the whole way. See three very distinct body types, longer strides for Crawford, shorter strides for Churng and Corvera. And here's Christie working his way ahead. Just looking at the Road to Tokyo page, which is a great way to look at the world quotas and figure out where you are in line. Christie's going to need to make up about 20 spots if he wants to get in on the 20-kilometer race walk. The standard is a ridiculously low 1 hour and 19 minutes for the men's 20-kilometer race walk. So he's not going to get there, but you mentioned the 35-kilometer race walk. He is relatively close there as well. And these ranking points factor in because there's just one world ranking for race walking, and there's not different rankings for the 20K or the 35K, so he's putting himself in good position to get on a team, and the lower he goes there, the more performance points he gets, the better positioned he will be to make a world championship team. As Christie's about to go through the time check, and now he's on the back stretch, but he has been ripping through 5,200 meters already clocked for Christie. Now 5,600 meters down, 36 laps to go. His pace has dropped maybe a second or two, a 1:41.5 there, but overall still very strong. At 5,000 meters, he was through in 20 minutes and 57 seconds, and every 1,000-meter split so far has been between 4:06 and 4:11.
And we are beginning to see a fracture between Katie Burnett and Angelica Harris. This has only transpired over about the last 400 or 500 meters. We have Emmanuel Corvera still continuing to lead this men's chase pack of 2nd through 4th. Corvera, Crawford, and Chang, I want to say that they're working together, but the only two people who seem to have been swapping positions are Crawford and Chang. Corvera continuing to drive this from the front. Christie also, this is all going by so quickly as these athletes are swapping positions on the track. Christie looking, he has his eyes firmly set. We can see that planted on that chase pack in front of him. But again, Nick was telling me about this race. He's going to really go after it. He's swinging for the fences with this effort, and he said there is a high chance that he might blow up. And if that happens, if he begins to fall apart in the later stages of this race, that this chase pack, there's strength in numbers, Bill, and those athletes are very clustered together.
You know, I love that because we mentioned he needs a fast time for those world ranking points. You also get to a point where you want to challenge yourself. He's won this event so many times. Why not take a shot to go really low? And then if you got to hang on for dear life at the end, go for it. He's coming up on Corvera, Crawford, and Schurng. Christie with another lap checked by, so he is through 6,000 meters. That is 15 laps down. He has 35 laps to go. Here's Lauren Harris. Harris at the moment is just inside the quota of 50 athletes who would make the World Championships in Tokyo based on world rankings. She's 48th on that road to Tokyo list right now. So again, a win here could go a long way in helping her solidify a spot to the World Championships, and is still a younger walker who's taken a couple of years off. Be really big in her build toward that home Olympic Games in 2028.
One of the things I've noticed here is that just the difference in form between Lauren Harris and Maria Michikoff. Lauren has a very low arm carriage. I would imagine in the later stage of this race, when those legs get tired, she's gonna go to the arms and make them go to work. Maria, from the gun of this race, from the very first meters, just has this. She has a standard form. I mean, she's cranking away at the arms. She's working really hard. We have Nick Christie now, who's decided to maybe just turn his brain off for a little bit and follow the pursuant leaders in front of him. Manuel Corvera leading the pack. That's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then your first place finisher, which is, it's a very difficult thing to keep on the screen in front of you. Keep that in mind of those who are watching. Nick Christie in the back of this pack, starting to make his way around Chang right now, is leading this race. He's lapping these competitors, but these are your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place currently ranked athletes in this race.
Yeah, that looked like maybe just a second to catch his breath, reset, and now he goes on by, and he has lapped 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Corvera, Crawford, and Schurng. So Christie will get another time check here through 6,000 meters. He has 34 laps remaining. 35 laps left for Corvera, Crawford, and Schurng. Lauren Harris also is through 6,000 meters in 27:30 to lead the women's race. And yeah, that was just a very temporary pause there for Christie, because now already building a gap the second time around on Corvera, Crawford, and Schurng.
Well, you know, you don't want to pass on the turn. Every track coach will tell you that, unless it's your only option. So I think that he just didn't want to walk any further meters than was absolutely necessary out there this morning. 20K is a long way to go. Relatively short for these athletes, but a long way to go. And again, here we can just see Maria Michikoff has a very unique form here, just that really high arm drive, almost going up to her chin. Nick having more of, like, you would call it a traditional running arm carriage, but again, we talked early about the type of athletes that are being recruited for this. It is fast twitch muscle fibers. Look at the cadence on both of these athletes right now.
So Maria Michikoff racing in 2nd right now behind Christie, who goes past her in 1st. And Nick Christie will keep on gaining ground and checking things off. You see Michikoff in the back of your picture here. Again, she has done so much to help build the sport of race walking in the United States. Mentioned her coaching chops, the big advocate for this sport. She's won international medals, like gold at the NACAC championships back in 2018. She's a really impressive woman, also an adjunct professor in biology and microbiology. She's a PhD in biomedical science from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, a major medical institution in New York City. She's a mom as well, just a diverse range of interests and talent, but a huge passion for this sport. And she is at the moment inside those World Championship quota places for the 35K. So a second place finish here should help her garner enough points to hopefully make another world team in that 35 kilometer.
Very interesting note here, because I do feel as though we lose a bit of credit for these athletes. Dr. Mitchell-Coffey, if she qualifies for Tokyo, this would be her 8th World Championships team. Only Allison Felix and, Amy Acuff. Allison Felix in a variety of different events. Amy Acuff has, Allison Felix, 10 World Championships to her name. Acuff, 8 World Championships to her name. That is rarefied air up there with some of the all-time greats in U.S. track and field.
34 laps to go in the women's race for the leader, Lauren Harris. Maria Mitchell-Coffey is about a lap behind at this point, racing in second and well ahead. She's 50 seconds ahead of Katie Burnett, who has grabbed hold of third by herself now, breaking up that bunch that was behind her. Here's Harris coming on to 6,800 meters to go. Or 6,800 meters down, excuse me. And Nick Christie coming up on 32 laps to go. So Christie will have 32 laps to go. Harris, 34 laps to go. Christie really moving today. And like you said, he knows he's taking a risk going out as fast as he can. But for the moment, he has proven he can hold this pretty aggressive pace here.
I saw Nick just there looking up at one of the other info boards that we have inside this beautiful Hayward field, and he was seeing the standings at 100 meters into the race, and Nick said, what in the heck is that up there? It was really taking him by surprise, a bit of puzzlement on the face of Nick Christie. But you know what? These guys are looking for something to keep their brains occupied while they're out there, and obviously the effort begins to creep up. You know, you're focused on all those splits, but you're also just looking for things to keep you motivated, keep you going throughout this race, as all of these athletes are enjoying the biofeedback.
Yeah, you know what else is up there? The penalty board is up there, and Nick Christie does not have any penalties yet as he walks through, but maybe you notice there are a few penalties that have been handed out. 3 penalties have been handed out already to Owen Nolte, so he's going to have to spend some time in the penalty box the next time he comes around. 1 penalty so far for Joel Fowler, and then in the women's side, there's been 1 penalty issued to Katie Miali. But everybody else, all the leaders at the moment, are clean. And that's another thing that can throw a wrench in the race. If Christie were to, say, pick up a penalty or two and have to walk much more conservatively, that would maybe change the gap he's got here. But right now, he is free and clear, still penalty-free as he attacks.
Nick is the consummate professional. You know, penalties are not something that are often tossed his way, but I'm not making light of this, but you know, it's almost when an athlete has to go into that penalty box that the rest of the field is on a power play, as it were. You are just gaining ground on a competitor while they just have to sit there and wait. It is a very unique thing to this event in track and field. No other event do they have a penalty box, and I hope we don't see an athlete in there, but if we do, I'm very interested to watch how they exit that penalty box. Is it, you know, with a ferociousness? We see it in triathlon sometimes, where athletes, if they get caught drafting in the bike, they have to take a penalty, and when they come out of that, they're just full of fire.
There's the race for second, third, and fourth, still all together. They've taken turns at the front, Crawford, Corvera, and Schuring. Yeah, the penalty box still relatively new. Only a few years, and it has given a little reprieve. It used to be 3 penalties and you were disqualified. At least now, after you spend some time in the box, you get that chance to come back out. But again, especially at the top levels, if you're one of the contenders who take a penalty, you're done. There's no making up for the time that you lose there, even if you theoretically get to keep racing. As we watch Christie keeping that 1 foot of contact at all times.
I just felt something shift in the stadium here of Hayward. Royalty has entered the building. Kurt Clausen, ladies and gentlemen, has graced us with his presence. The USA Track and Field president and board chair, and about 1,000-time Olympian and World Championship competitor, World Championship medalist. He's out here to cheer on these athletes and watch some of, he really did set the stage. Maybe we can try and flag down Kurt and get a couple insights from him this morning, but we got some time. He's sort of taking some laps, taking it all in and seeing what is transpiring in front of him this morning.
Here comes Christy once again. You notice that all of these athletes have their watches as well for checkpoints. That's become important here because mentioned he was looking up at the board earlier. The men's 20K has lost its data right now, so it only has those 100-meter early splits on there. So he's having to continue to check his watch and make sure he's on the pace he needs to be here. 30 laps to go. He's put 20 behind him already. So now you're getting to that point where you start to look at the lap counter, Will, and you start to think, okay, counting them down, 5 more laps, you're past the midway point where every single time you look at the lap counter, you got less laps in front of you than behind you. And here's Christy continuing to go. Lauren Harris keeps on chugging. She's averaging about 434 per 1,000 meters right now. Her pace has been very consistent throughout this race. Average lap time between 149 and 150, and hasn't lost that. So that's the encouraging thing for Lauren Harris so far, is that she's about to be 8,000 meters into this race, and there's been very little wiggle on her pace time. Kept it super solid the whole way.
She looks as good in this lap as she did in the first. Again, the pursuant pack of 2nd through 4th place finishers in the men's race. Manuel Corvera continuing to drive that pack, but Lauren Harris has really she's impressing me with her consistency. We've seen splits from Lauren between 149 flat and 150.7 here over the last, basically the entirety of this race. She is an absolute metronome. She is locked in, and you can tell how fast she's going. These men are having to work hard to get past her.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the men's race, the leader in the women's race. She'll have 30 laps to go when she crosses the line here, and we'll get an 8,000-meter split and see if her kilometers are staying consistent. She checks the watch through 8,000 meters, another 434. So here's this for kilometer splits. Her slowest K was actually her first K, 436. Since then, 434, 435, 434, 435, 433, 434, 434. That is very consistent walking from Harris at this point.
I'd like to challenge anybody to be that consistent with their pacing in any event. This is an absolute master class in pace and persistence. She just looks so relaxed. She looks like, dare I say that she's out for a casual walk. Lauren Harris.
Moving a whole lot faster than your traditional Saturday morning stroll, though.
Absolutely. I was going to say earlier, one of my favorite things that Larry Rawson used to talk about during these broadcasts is, go down to your local track and try and walk a circuit in 1 minute and 50 seconds. She's going to do this for 20K. I bet not many in the world can do it for 1 lap. It is incredibly impressive what Lauren Harris is doing this morning in front of us. And again, she's trying to find people out there that maybe she can latch onto, but there is nobody in this race that's moving at the same pace as her. Even some of the male competitors, there's not really anyone that's having that same tempo. And there's that pack of men in front of her is going ever so slightly faster, but beyond that, no one can match her tempo.
Harris continuing to comfortably lead here, still living on Long Island, training on Long Island. And she's about to check another lap off the list here. And she'll have 29 to go. And then here's Maria Michikoff. We know that they work together. And they coach, Michikoff coaches Lauren Harris, but here's a good example of a coach not trying to make their athletes emulate them in terms of style, because it's incredibly different arm carriage and style from Michikoff to Harris, who is so much more quieter with her form.
You know what? One of the things I've been told about the race walk is that it is all about the swivel. And one of the things that I love to see there is that obviously the coach has recognized something in Harris that is, she's not trying to change her form. She walks the way that she walks, and she's trying to optimize for Harris. Maria obviously has done this for years and years and years. We were talking about this earlier. She's trying to qualify for her 8th World Championship team. So we can see this 2 different forms. Maria with that arm carriage that almost comes up to her nose, and Harris with that arm carriage that's much lower down near her hips. There, as you see that, one looks a bit more labored, one looks a bit more casual, but it works very well for each one of these athletes. And there in 3rd place is Katie Burnett. Katie Burnett, even yet a different form. So different strokes for different folks out here, but every single one of these athletes optimizing for themselves.
You mentioned the hip swivel, and that is why this sport's incredibly tough on the hips. The most common injury you hear for a race walker is a hip injury, as you really put a lot on your hips when you're walking 20K, 30K, 50K in a race.
Well, we did have Happy Gilmore 2 just come out. One of the lines, the famous lines from Happy Gilmore 1 is it's all in the hips. So while it may pertain to golf, it pertains to race walk as well. Again, we were talking about Katie Burnett right there. Katie Burnett has like that middle ground between Harris and Mitch DeCoffey in terms of where they have that arm carriage. Katie Burnett more in that middle zone. Harris with the low arm carriage, and Mitch DeCoffey with that very high arm pump.
Another lap down for Lauren Harris, and what do you know, another 149 for Harris. Every single lap over the last 2,000 meters has been 149 or 150, and again, you mentioned Burnett, it's that in between, a little more arm carriage than Harris, not quite as dramatic as Mitch DeCoffey, and it works for her, one of the best in the long distances that the United States has.
Absolutely. Katie Burnett, our endurance distance specialist in the walks, American record holder for 50 and 35K. Broke her 35K American record just this last May in Xenia, Ohio.
That race for second has continued. Now, this is exciting. Honestly, these championships, you don't often see packs like this stick around for a while. There's usually some serious separation in the top places. There's drama here closing in on the midway point in this men's 20K championship in the race for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. This trio, Crawford, Corvera, and Churng, have been together the entire way. It's Corvera in the front wearing 24. Churng has the number 30 on his hip, and Crawford wears number 26. Here's the leader, Nick Christie, though, and he is led from the opening strides. He's about to hit the midway point of this race. Got 26 laps to go, and trying to attack that 124 pace. He has not fallen far off it so far. We do have our first disqualification, by the way. Owen Nolte picked up a 4th paddle, so he has been disqualified from this race as we see the race for second now.
This is the first time I've begun to see a bit of discomfort on the face of Emmanuel Corvera. When he went by on the backstretch, get past the water station for the previous time, I saw him grab a water, but what we see in every endurance event is just that furrowing of the brow. We're almost halfway through this 20K race walk. Emmanuel Corvera led almost every step for this chase pack, but the effort is starting to creep up. We're seeing his face now. You can see how his eyebrows are raising up into his forehead. It's almost as though he has a look of a bit of surprise, but you're starting to see the effort creep up, and look at how relaxed Crawford's face is. You can see the relaxation in the muscles of his face and lips and jaw in Crawford, who's in the back. Obviously, very easy to pick out Crawford. He's about a full head taller than Corvera and Churng. But right now, again, Emmanuel Corvera, and maybe it's just sweat beginning to go into his eyes, a sweat and sunshine, but the pace is not, we're not seeing the pace slip, but you are starting to see the signs, the early signs of effort.
And I was like, Crawford's face looks relaxed, but he was just shaking the arms and the shoulders out a little bit there, so maybe feeling a little tension in that area. I think that Jason Churng has looked very comfortable here. He's let Corvera do the pacing. He's tucked in behind him. Just 25 years old. He competed for Chinese Taipei until 2022 and switched his allegiance to the United States 3 seasons ago. As Nick Christie is about to hit the midway point of this race. Looking in at Churng again. 3rd at the USATF Indoors this year. Again, 3rd year competing for the United States, trying to pick up a 2nd here at the National Championships. If he can move past Corvera, and I just think he's looked very relaxed whenever we've checked in on him and tucked into this similar spot behind Corvera. All right, when Nick Christie comes through next, we're going to get his midway split here, and that will let you know just how close to the pace he has been on. He is looking for. It's not quite going to be a 1:24 pace, but could be in the 1:25 range at the moment, and trying to continue to drive the hammer here as he's led from the very beginning.
As Nick had told us before this race, he was going to take a big swing, and there was going to be a potential chance that he might blow up and pay the price. And it does, in track and field terms, we look at some of these things where, oh my gosh, he's got a lap and a half on his competitors, but there's still 10K to go in this race.
Yep.
That is not that much distance when you consider if that group of Churn and Corvera and Crawford behind him if they can go to work, they can try to start making some of that ground.
And I beg your pardon, we're not getting the data for the men's race, and the board just changed. He actually had already hit 25 laps, so he has 24 laps to go as he comes through there. So he is on about a 1:24 plus pace. At the laps he's been walking here, he would have hit his 25 to go right at about 42 minutes. So he is right there where he wants to be, and has 24 laps remaining in this race. Still looks very good. You're not seeing any real signs of change of posture, change of carryover or turnover, and obviously see the effort in his face, but doesn't look like he is close to that cracking yet.
No, Nick looks fantastic. He's continuing to churn out these laps, and I just busted out my stopwatch. So, if we lose some technology, we're not blaming anybody, but we have plenty other opportunities to take some splits ourselves, and we'll be doing just that up in your booth. So those of you guys watching at home, you can get a little bit of a sense of where Nick is and how he is continuing to chip away at this 84-minute mark.
Just got the halfway point split for Lauren Harris as well, as Harris leads the women's race and Christie leads the men's race here. Christie going to dip around Burnett and have 23 laps to go when he comes around the horn here.
Interesting thing to note about the race walkers is I have had the great pleasure of being the chair of the Athletes Commission for the previous 4 years, 2020 to 2024. I get to work a lot with the race walkers. The race walkers are one of the most dialed event groups in all of U.S. track and field. They're incredibly dedicated to this sport. They're incredibly dedicated to helping it grow, inspiring younger generations, inspiring each other. They're all great friends on and off the track. So this is one of these great times where you get to see friends become competitors. And Nick Christie and Lauren Harris right now, they're not taking any prisoners, and they are just hammering lap after lap after lap.
So Christie continues to push inside of 23 laps to go. Lauren Harris hit the midway point at 45:46.7. Quick back of the napkin math means she's on a 1:31:33 pace. That is 17 seconds faster than the American record on the track that she set in Chula Vista just a couple of months ago. And we see Angelica Harris, who's popped into your picture as well. Currently in 4th place behind Burnett, trying to get onto the podium. She is about a minute behind Burnett in the race for 3rd. She has only 5 seconds on Miranda Melville, who's just behind her. So that's the race for 4th and 5th right there between Harris and Melville. Melville, longtime race walker's been to the World Championships a number of times. Supports her training by working as an SAT and ACT tutor. So if you have a kid looking to get into a good school, give Miranda Melville a call and she can get them ready to go for their college prep exams. Back to Lauren Harris here. And again, Harris, we mentioned the pace, and you think, well, are you going to hold that pace in the back half? The way she is walking right now would not be a surprise at all. I mean, she has continued to walk those 1 minute and 49 second laps. Just did it again last time around.
We had a 1:01, a minute and 41 seconds for Nick Christie on that last lap. And ladies and gentlemen at home, we are graced with absolute royalty in the booth right now. We have none other than USA Track and Field President and World Championship medalist, Kurt Clausen. Kurt, how you doing this morning?
Oh, great. Great to be out here. What a gorgeous day.
So, Kurt, obviously, one of the big parts of this weekend has been the uniting of the USATF Outdoor Nationals with the USATF Para Nationals. We've seen some outstanding running. How have you seen the crowd here and the athletes here react to paras uniting with USATF at these outdoors.
Yeah, from the athlete side, I mean, it's a natural fit and a perfect integration. We've already seen that, I think, over the years, and it's just great to have them on the track at the same time.
See Lauren Harris out in front here. It's the longest day on the program. We got going with these race walkers here at 7 a.m. 20K around this track, 50 laps, crowd building. We'll have a great para schedule on tap the rest of the morning. USATF Nationals will take over in the middle of the afternoon. We've got USATF President Kurt Clausen, multi-time Olympian, with us. And Kurt, what are your biggest memories from your days of running these national championship events, trying to make teams, and what you would feel as an athlete and experience, and what you think a lot of these athletes are experiencing right now?
Yeah, right now, I mean, this is a race that is so long, 50 laps on the track, that you're literally taking it one lap at a time. Taking a look at your stopwatch every lap. Where am I? Where's my heart rate? How am I, holding this pace? And how long can I hold this pace? So, I mean, especially when you're out there alone. Lauren Harris is having a wonderful race, almost 3 minutes ahead of the field. And, Nick is in the same boat. He's out there by himself. So it's actually really beneficial for these athletes that are out by themselves in a race to be on the track, because you're getting that feedback instantaneously every 400 meters instead of a typical 1K loop or every 500 meters. So they're in their own mind space and taking it one lap at a time.
Hey, good morning there, everybody. Good to see you. And and that's one of the things we've been talking about today is that instant feedback, like you talked about. You also, even if you're way out in front, you have people to chase every lap as well, which is helpful, where it might be a little more lonely on those loops, and you have some more stretches where you got no one really in front of you as well.
Yeah, no, it works out today, and I'm looking at the field. It's not too crowded, right? You're lapping people. Lauren's went past the field once already. Nick's almost on the same boat, but it's pretty spread out today. So this is going to work out for them. They're not adding too much extra distance. And one of the cool things about the track is if you do it right, you can actually go a little shorter than the distance, unlike the road where there's that natural extra distance added in. So it's a great opportunity to walk really fast. In almost ideal conditions. Half shade today, so it works.
Half shade, half sun. Kurt, you wear many, many hats when you come out here to the track. One of the things I've noticed on Lauren Harris is that winged foot of the New York Athletic Hub. Talk to us about how the NYAC supports race walk in the U.S.
Now, they have been great supporters of race walking for probably 40, 50, 60 years. Ron Laird's in their Hall of Fame, and he's like the all-time national champ legend. And I was fortunate enough to race for them as well. So, and ran that track and field program through 2016. So, the walkers have always been a base.
Obviously, a great role model in this sport, and another New York native is Maria Michta-Coffey from down there in Long Island. We talked about it earlier. She has inspired so many young walkers. You see Lauren here, who she still coaches, but her legacy is you've watched her over, at this point, about 2 decades of race walking at the top level here.
Yeah, no, absolute ferocious competitor, and it's great to see her working with the next generation, bringing a world-class athlete. Lauren is really right now our hope at the world-class level, and she's able to do it. She's young, and she has years to get there.
You talked about how 3 years away from an Olympic Games, you want to be in that home Olympics, and that trend line that Lauren is on, not only to make a world championship team this year, particularly with the performance she's putting out there today, but to continue to get faster heading toward that home Olympics. A great carrot to dangle out in all those long training hours when you are out there on your own putting the work in.
And absolutely, to move from where your perspective and you're on the cusp of being in the top 10 in the world to making that leap, it takes a good 3-4 years, but you can do it in that amount of time. And I think Lauren's on that trajectory right now. So it's great to see her out here doing a fabulous solo effort, essentially.
Here comes another check-in for Lauren Harris, about to hit 11,600 down, 8,400 to go. And she's continued to be so consistent. Will 4 consecutive laps now at 149. Every single lap in this race has been between 148 and 150 for Lauren Harris. She has not deviated from her plan. And as we said, she was about 19 seconds ahead of her track 20,000 meter American record of 131.50 if she can keep this together over the last 21 laps.
And I said to the fans at home that I would keep tabs on Nick Christie, and I've been doing that. I'm staying true to my word. So Nick's last 4 laps were a 101, 103, 103, and he's brought it back down to a 102 or 1 minute and 42-second lap there, continuing to power on in this race. He's a bit behind pace of what he was looking for in that 83-minute mark, but he is still putting together a fantastic performance today as we see Lauren Harris out there getting that personalized water bottle. And it does appear to me as though there's someone on the backstretch that's filling them up for her, because otherwise she's filled up about 50 small water bottles for herself. So she has her obvious preferred electrolyte solution. Kurt, when you were racing, how much did fueling play a part in what you did, and what did you have a drink of choice?
No, absolutely. It was critical, and it's every, I specialize in 50K, which is a little bit longer than this race, and it was the critical difference in getting things done. And we viewed it like NASCAR. Right now, she just took those water. Well, she has a plan and a formula, and if she's doing it right, she knows how much quantity she needs. She knows her sweat rate, and she knows how many calories she needs to take in over the course of 20K.
Now, for my money in this ISO right here, in this shot, Lauren Harris is not losing ground to Nick Christie. She is picking up her pace and trying to match the tempo. Nick, I think, realizing that she was hot on his heels and maybe starting to go a little harder down the home stretch. But what are the major, I want to say, physical ailments that you're going to deal with in a 20K walk? I mean, this is obviously on the shorter end of the endurance walks. Is it cramping? Is it lactic? Is it, stomach discomfort? What are the things that these athletes are really trying to manage at this point in the race?
The good thing about 20K is the fueling's not quite as critical. It's hydration level more than anything, because of the time out there, 90 minutes, right? It's a little bit longer than a half marathon in terms of time-wise for runners. The main thing you're going to worry about is really the threshold, anaerobic threshold, and being right on that cusp. Pushing the edge, pushing the needle on that cusp, and get a little too far. If you're in a competitive international race, someone can drop that 5 seconds a kilometer and literally destroy your race because you just pushed the needle too far.
So talk to me about what we're seeing, the discomfort on Nick's face versus the relaxation on Lauren Harris. It does seem that Lauren Harris is we just mentioned earlier, she is on pace to break the American record in the 20K on the track. Nick Christie looking for a fantastic performance, but Nick does look like he's straining a bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's we used to call it relaxed intensity, and the key to running well, performing well at really everything, any distance, is looking like it's effortless, and Lauren looks like that today. Nick's coming back from a period, he joined the world-class athlete program, and is a little behind on his training this year, and I think you can see it right there. And Lauren's, peaking at the right time. She's on track for Tokyo. Nick's playing a little bit of a catch-up game this year, and I think you see it in his face strain. He's not as relaxed as he has been in the past.
He's coming up on 17 laps to go. There'll be 19 laps to go for Harris, who's just behind. One of the things we've been talking about with Lauren Harris, not just the relaxed look, but even just the quieter form. She doesn't have quite the arm carriage of some of the other athletes, particularly her coach Maria, and just looks like there's a little bit less expended when it comes to the arm carriage and the swivel as well. Very calm, quiet form.
Yeah, she does, and it's relaxed, and it'll serve her well for 20K and even beyond if the longer race. What she can get out of her technique, you see here, is a little bit more forward and back hip rotation. That's some technical work I think can take her to the next level. That was for me the key to becoming top 50 in the world, to top 10 in the world, was adding 6 inches of stride length by getting that hip rotation forward and back.
Wow.
You multiply 6 inches by 200 plus steps a minute, and it's literally a half a mile. The distance is incredible, and I think if she can get that piece, that would be the critical link for her, and that's just
Here's Lauren Harris out in front, and this race for second has been fabulous all day. Corvera, Crawford, and Churn have been together as a pack, and that's not something we said you see all that often, that this deep into a race, past the halfway point and further, you've still got 3 together in a battle for the podium. Often this can become a lonely sport, but Corvera has led the whole way. Churn has comfortably tucked himself behind. Crawford's been yo-yoing a bit, but still hanging around in that battle for a podium spot here.
Yeah, Crawford looked really relaxed early, and you can see it looks like he's lost just a couple strides per minute type tempo there, but I wouldn't count him out of it yet. He has a nice relaxed form.
He is the first of the top 4 to have picked up a penalty. He has 1. Everybody else is still clean on their card at this point, as Nick Christie has 16 laps, about 4 miles to go through 57:10. You're talking about things Lauren Harris can do to gain a little bit more speed. And if she does want to be top 10 in the world at some point, it is amazing how fast some of the top athletes in the world at the Olympics last year have pushed this particularly 20K distance to the speeds that they're going right now, and the sub 120 times you're seeing consistently in the men's races these days.
No, it's a whole different world. I was 4 or 5 minutes slower than that, and pretty competitive at the time. So it's really changed, especially on the women's side as they up the distance to 20, and the athletes are they're training at a world-class level, and you see it across the board in distance running, walking, the training technique, the equipment out there, everything's better, and the athletes. It's just a whole different game than it was 20 years ago.
Harris checking that watch, and again, she has been even more consistent than she was earlier in the race, where we saw some 149s and 150s. Will, her last 8 laps, her last 9 laps now have all been in the 149 range, and most of them have been between 149.6 and 149.8, so almost to the 10th of a second as she's made it around here.
And just off our screen, for the first time, we've seen a shakeup in the pursuant pack in the men's race. Numbers 2, 3, and 4. We've got Churng, Corvera, and Crawford. Churng, for the first time, has taken over the lead of that pack from Emmanuel Corvera. We still have Lauren Harris on the screen, putting together an amazing race, going after that American record. We're starting to see the arms creep up a little bit, but here again, we're seeing that race for second, 2, 3, and 4. Churng and Corvera have started to distance themselves from Crawford, who we mentioned did get that foul, that penalty card already in this race. Churng going for a drink of his bottle. Watch out there, sir. Don't trip on it as you drop it. But Churng, I do believe this is maybe a little bit of jockeying, almost like going into pit alley, but Churng still going back into the front, trying to coax Corvera back into that leading position. Kurt, talk to us a little bit about what it means to lead versus to follow in this race. Obviously, we know in distance running that you are trying to have an athlete in front of you break the wind. Is this more of a mental than a physical benefit?
We'll get back to that in a minute. This was that near disaster. That was really unlucky. He dropped that a few feet to his right, but it landed right on the spout and took that weird bounce right on back. And fortunately, he kept his concentration there. Bottles
bounce like footballs and not like rugby balls. You're tossing it out there. You have no idea where it's going to go, but just glad that he came away scot-free.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is, and it's, you mentioned the word pit. That's exactly how I viewed this thing when I was racing. I actually had my own pit crew, and we actually had the time cards, how far behind you were, and I viewed it just like NASCAR. And it's amazing that kind of support team you have. That support team that's really unrecognized there can make all the difference in the world for an athlete. And that was a near miss, but I'm sure he'll learn to throw that bottle a little farther away after that.
So does every athlete in the race on the backstretch, they have their own support crew back there?
In a world-class race, you would, yes. It looks like there's a few less than number of athletes out there today, but they have the option to have that.
Here comes Nick Christie once again. He's coming down on 14 laps to go. And here are the folks working down there in pit row. A lot of them volunteers today. They were getting their instructions earlier, and we appreciate all the volunteers helping out as well. But yeah, as you mentioned, you look at an Olympics, a World Championship, you got folks with their flags that are they're designated by the countries, the federations, and the athletes themselves to be their particular aides out there.
Crawford was definitely in the doldrums there for a little while, but we've seen this from Jordan Crawford throughout this race. And Jordan Crawford now going to the front. He's found some wind in his sails. Emmanuel Corvera, you could see his head go down. Those eyes were at the feet and not up at the tartan in front of him. Crawford either just being a gentleman and taking a pull at the front, the tallest of the 3 pursuants, say, hey guys, ride on my coattails for a bit. Let me pull us back into this race. Let's find that rhythm again. But I think, Kurt, you made a really astute observation. Jordan Crawford's cadence is quite a bit slower than those behind him, but his levers, his legs are so much longer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's probably taking 20 steps per minute. Well, fewer steps per minute, which looks, optically looks a lot different compared to the shorter athletes. And walking right now, the world has gone to, he is an outlier. He is way too tall for being an optimal walker, but he's still getting it done, and I was way too tall as well. So when you're taking 225 steps a minute versus 185, it's a lot easier to judge the guy doing 185. So there's this weird little judging quirk in there that being shorter makes it harder to be detected if you are on the cusp of legality.
That's a great point.
The cusp of legality. That should just be the tagline of a race walk movie. The 20K race walk, the cusp of legality.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, that's every one of the best walkers in the world is trying to walk right on that cusp of the line, right?
Absolutely, and you know, the shorter the race, the more on the edge you are. I was a 50K guy, and I'm disappointed we got rid of the 50K. We're moving to a marathon, which is fabulous. I think the world will see how fast these guys are and can relate to it at the marathon distance. But the longer the race is, the more solid the technique is, right? And so it's great. I think this is really an endurance event, and I advocate for longer is better.
I'm curious, obviously a new event at the last Olympics was that relay race, and the challenge there that I found was so interesting was you got to go all out for 10K, recover quick, and then get back out there for another 10K. If you were doing that in your heyday, how would you have approached a race like that where you got to go all out and somehow find some recovery in the time of your teammates racing 10K to get back out there again?
I think the teams that figured out that recovery period are the ones that did the best, because it's literally like 2 by 10K with a 45-minute rest, and that's just not natural. So you got to keep those legs moving. You got to keep it flowing, so you just don't stiffen up and have that sort of post-race feeling in your legs when you go back out there. So it was a fabulous race to watch. It won't be there in LA in 2028, but it was a lot of fun to watch.
Here's Lauren Harris, who keeps on moving out in the lead. She is through 14,000 meters, and again, consistency has been key for her. 4:32 on the last 1,000. That was actually her fastest kilometer of the race, but every 1,000 since her opener has been 4:34 to 4:33, and now this 4:32. Really impressed to see her getting, if anything, a little bit faster, as her American record on the track that she set just a couple months ago is certainly under threat right now. All we got here has been great having your race walking analysis, but obviously you're here wearing hats for USATF as well as the board of directors president. What are some of the major things that the board is focusing on this year and at this championship? And
I'll take that. That's confidential.
Most of it may be, but you know, we've had a great year. Our athletes are telling the story. Like, you look at the U.S. success coming off Paris with 34 medals, and you see the performances. Like last night's competition, 8th place 992 in 100 meters. 6 women 11 or faster. I mean, our athletes are performing, and that's the #1 focus of USA Track and Field, is high performance angle and getting the best team in the world on the track. And there's still room for opportunity in a lot of events, and you know, there's room to create more opportunities for our athletes in the lead up to LA 28. And so we're talking about scheduling for next year. We're talking about big picture. How do we top Paris, and where are those opportunities?
Yep.
So we haven't won a medal in the walks. I believe you are our last medalist in the walks, and you are still a young, spry man, but that was obviously a little while ago. What is going to be the difference maker for the likes of a Lauren Harris to go from being the best that we have in America to one of the best in the world?
Yeah, providing sustainable support so that she can make it to LA 28 with all the resources she needs. And coaching she needs to take that to the next level. So that's very targeted support for someone like Lauren. I mean, in the long term, it's creating opportunities for walkers, right? You've seen all these walkers come out of Long Island from on the female side, and that's just because it's a high school event.
Yep.
And so if we can just expand the base of where those opportunities exist, and then have the program to channel them into the world-class training, that's what we need. I came out of the U.S. Olympic Training Center where we had a great group. Everyone got better. I happened to medal, but everyone who went there got better. We know how to do it. It's just a matter of getting that support in place for these athletes and growing the base and walking, right? Lauren's here, but how do we find 5 more of her and create a training group for her that gets her to the top level?
And there has been some improvement on states sponsoring race walking at the high school level, more and more, it feels like each year, so that you hope leads to more kids picking it up at a younger age and producing more and more. And we've also seen some college programs supporting race walkers, bringing them, maybe they run cross country in the fall and they support their walking. That was what Lauren did at Marist, for example.
Absolutely. I was a Duke University B team cross country guy, and they let me race walk back in the day. So that model works, right? It's keep you in the sport long enough so that you can become world class, because it's endurance events. You don't peak until you're way post collegiate, and if you're doing it right.
All right, setting you back in on where we are in the race. 11 laps to go for Nick Christie leading the men's race. 13 laps to go for Lauren Harris leading the women's race. Harris's pursuit of the American 20,000 track record is still very much on at this point, and again, she's going to get pretty close to that World Championship standard outright. Again, the world ranking points from this performance will move her even higher up the quota, where she's already in on the road to Tokyo ranking. So this very important race for her to solidify positioning there, and she checks her watch, another lap, another 1:48. So again, getting slightly faster here as she's dipping into the final quarter of this race now. And Nick Christie is well within the final quarter of his race. He has 10 to go at this point and 40 behind him.
We can start to see the effort on Nick Christie's face. Again, I'm continuing to take these lap splits for him. That was a 1:44 for him on that last lap, one of his slowest of the race. So we hope that there's still a lot of walking left in Nick Christie. He's looking for some of that biofeedback. He's got his eyes up, but now he's into a little bit of a no man's land. There's this large gap between the next group in front of him are actually the closest in his pursuance in the men's race. Churn, Corvera, and Crawford, 2, 3, 4. Corvera and Churn. What is going on here with Jordan Crawford? Do you think it's focus? Do you think it's ability? Is he against the ropes? Because we are seeing this yo-yo from him. He was in the lead of the chase back, then he gets pushed into the back. But again, we're seeing Nick Christie. He is going to work right now into this last 5K. The brow is furrowed. He's sweating. He is churning those arms. He's pumping them. But, you know, when you're in a chase pack, what is so challenging about just like locking in and trying to not lose ground?
No, it's tricky, and I can't tell if they're working together. I don't think they are. Emmanuel's been leading that most of the time. Every once in a while, the three athletes will agree to shift turns, and if I was with them, I used to force the guys to shift turns in winter training group. Like, I'm not taking this whole thing, because we were talking about earlier, it is so much harder to be the lead walker or lead runner in a group pack like that. Jordan, in a weird way, has been laying back most of the race, and let's see what he does to try to close it out, because he looks like he's more relaxed than the other two at this point.
Nick Christie ticking off another lap. He has 9 to go. You mentioned his move to the Air Force World Class Athletics Program. Another way to find support. The Army, the Air Force World Class Athlete programs have produced a lot of top contenders, and so he's made that move. And now we look at that chase pack again as Corvera is going to go get his beverage. So too Crawford. Churn stuck by the rail, didn't want to risk the bottle flip this time around. But those three have been together from the very start. And like you said, it feels like maybe we're just waiting. Is one of these guys sitting and laying in wait, Kurt, to maybe, hey, with 8 laps to go, with 6 laps to go, that's when they're going to try and stomp on it just a little bit and break this thing up.
And they may all have their own plan. I used to always have a plan. This is when I go. I used to like to go with 6K to go, because no one ever goes with 6K to go, right? It's a little too far out. It's a little ballsy, and that's what, you know, you get out there and you try to catch your competitors off guard. But yeah, it certainly looks like, I would not be surprised if one of these guys breaks out here. And for Emmanuel, who's been doing the work, I hope it's him for his sake. But he's in that position where he's done all the work all day, and that's a really tough position to be in, to then close it out on the two guys been sitting behind him.
Nick Christie out in front, Corvera, Churn, and Crawford there behind. Bryson Healy is on his own in 5th place in the men's race. In the women's race, it's Harris in front. Mitch DeCoffey's been solo 2nd the whole way. Burnett, Melville, and Angelica Harris round out the top 5 there. Harris went 1:48 and then 1:50 on her last 2 laps. So trying to hang in there over the final 4,400 meters as she pursues her own record from 2 months ago. Again, at the midway point, she was about 17 seconds ahead of pace and has held that pace for the most part since then.
And you saw her just check her watch there, and it looks like she just upped her tempo there because she realized she fell off a couple seconds. So we'll see. It's incredible. She's working like a machine today. Like, to be that consistent, that close. It's easy to lose that lapse of concentration for one lap. You lose 2 seconds, but it looks like she actually noticed that when she checked her watch, and looks like she's trying to respond.
Here's Mitch DeCoffey out there in 2nd place. She's won more than 20 national championships, and she has a chance to possibly go to Tokyo in the 35K. Mitch DeCoffey, along with Katie Burnett and Miranda Melville, all within the top 50 of the World Athletics quota right now for that 35K race, and they will take 50 athletes to that 35K at the World Athletics Championship.
So we're starting to see a little bit more of a rotation in the shoulders of Lauren Harris. Kurt, when you're looking at this as an expert in the walks, is that fatigue? Is that she's trying to pick up the pace? What are you seeing there?
I think she's trying to keep on pace and she's trying to pick it up, and that rotation is actually helping her. The thing I worry about is when you see the arms and the shoulders creep up, and I don't see that happening, so that rotation is not going to hurt her, and I think she's just trying to increase her stride frequency and get back on pace if she lost a second or two. Be interesting to see what her next split is.
In the men's race, we do seem to see a little bit of fracturing here with Churn starting to pull away from Corvera and Crawford. All three C-men here doing a very good job keeping pace. But Chang, I think Kurt was listening to you and said it's time to go. If Kurt says go, it's got to be time to go.
I think that pack has about 9 laps to go, and that's when he made the move to start to break up. We're going to check on that shortly. They're a couple laps behind the leader, Nick Christie. Here is Harris still racing comfortably out in front. Harris will go around the bend. She just hit her 16,000 meter mark. Here's the chase pack, and Churn broke forward. I think Corvera's covered the move now a little bit, though. Yeah. At first, Will, it looked like Churn was going away, but Corvera has gotten back on the back end of him.
He closed the gap, and neither of those guys went for water. Jordan did. So let's see if the water helps.
Looks like maybe a 5 to 10 meter gap. This is the biggest gap there's been, but Corvera trying to hang in there as Jason Churn, one of the younger elite men's race walkers, again, just 25 years old, third year competing for the United States after originally competing for Chinese Taipei, and he is in position to possibly take second if he can keep it going. Nick Christie's had first place out in front of him since the first few strides, and you know, you mentioned, Will, he told you that the pace he was going, there was a risk of blowing up. Well, he's only 7 laps away from finishing this one off, and we haven't seen any sign of a blow up yet. Maybe his pace has slipped a bit, but he's been able to keep it together.
No, your timekeeper here is doing a very good job, if he does say so himself. I thought things were going in the wrong direction for Nick Christie. We saw some laps creeping in the high 145s, low 146s, but his last lap 144. So Nick knows that he is within the realm of finishing this thing off. You know, to me, Kurt, 7 laps seems like a very long distance for in the walks. Just like talk us through what his mind, what are the games he's playing with himself right now?
Yeah, no, I always view the finish of a race as it's a whole new race, right? So if you're racing 50K, I'd race could get really, really close to my PB for 5K at the end of a 50, and that's how you win the race. But you view it as you break it down. This is no longer a 20K race. This is 2 kilometers. This is 3 kilometers. And you start to view it differently than you did at the start when you had 50 laps to go and you had to take it 1 lap at a time. So I think that's, you see Nick when he made that move, it's like, I'm there. I've done this interval a bazillion times. I'm going to get this thing done, and let's just view this as 1 more 2K I need to get done.
And Churn looks like he has broken the pack behind him at this point. He is going away from Crawford and Corvera and asserting himself into a comfortable second place.
Well, interestingly, I think the water for Crawford did seem to help on that previous lap, as he is now past Corvera, who's led that chase pack for almost the entirety of this race. Churn has about 10 to 15 meters on Corvera. We're seeing this right there, but Crawford starting to pull away a little bit in that 3rd position.
Yeah, we'll see if Jordan can make a little move and try to close the gap. It doesn't look likely, and you know, I see Emmanuel finishing, and he's back there in the 4th position in the race, and the 3 of 3. He's paying the price for all that work he did. Those guys, he let those guys relax behind him.
Saw a warning issued,
and that was to Jordan, right? So
I believe so.
Yeah, that may change the tenor of the race for 3rd place.
It's his first warning. Looking up on the big board here, none of the major contenders are in any type of serious jeopardy. Crawford has 1, and Corvera, Churn, and Christie all are still without warnings at this point. Let's see again the warning. It was to Churn.
To Churn in the lead. So lost the contact for the leader, and now he's got to make a judgment call. Do I keep pressing? Do I agree with that opinion, or do I just try to ease up? Right now, what I'd be doing if I'm him, I'm trying to lower my arms and get my center of gravity to be just a hair lower so that I appear to be on the ground, a little firmer on the ground to the judges that I'm passing. So you make the adjustment, and you see that when the shoulders and the arms start popping up, that's popping the center of gravity up, and that's taking you off the ground. And so I think he just might have gotten a
Yeah,
second.
I think
So,
he did.
Your Honor, I object.
So he'll have to be careful here. This is when you can run into trouble, when you do pick up the pace from what you'd been walking over the first, say, 16,000 meters or so for this finish here.
yeah, no, you've got to be careful when you're making a move, because you're standing out to the judges and they're saying, why is this guy able to pull away so easily? Is something going on? Is he legal? And then late in the race, you know, you can see it. There's just a little bit, that arm swing is just a little higher than it was earlier. And when you see that, that's a telltale sign that, hey, let's take a little closer look at both feet. Is there that moment of double contact?
7 laps to go for Lauren Harris, who just came through as Churn continues to lead the race for second. And we'll see if he is able to avoid any further trouble, because obviously the trip to the penalty box could shake that race up. So needs to technically stand. Maybe it feels like maybe he has pulled back a bit, and we're seeing Crawford come right back up into the picture behind him.
Yeah, it does seem that way. After that second warning paddle that was placed out there in front of Churn, he has had to take his foot off the gas ever so slightly. When you're a competitor behind Churn, when you see him getting those the penalty markers, does that give you a little bit of, oh, he's obviously pressing because he's not able to keep one foot on the ground at all times?
It gives you a little hope at that point. Like, is he going to back off, and do I have a chance to close this gap on him? And if you can, then you know that he's having judging problems. And a lot of times when you're going past someone who's having judging problems and is on the edge, that gives you the advantage, right? Because you can go by cleanly, and he can't match you, because he knows that if he picks up another call, he may be in the penalty box.
Nick Christie's inside of his final mile now, less than 4 laps to go. He has led from the opening steps. He's going to put together a very good time out here. And this is where, as you said, you started at 50 laps. You almost don't want to look at the lap counter. Now it's down to 4, and you're just gritting your teeth to get to the finish here.
Yeah, no, this is a piece of cake now. You know, if the day has...
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true 50K expert there.
Yeah, he's calling in reservations for brunch right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pop the champagne, folks. Nick Christie is going to be walking away with another national championship here. But interestingly enough, Emmanuel Corvera has gone around Jordan Crawford, now sitting in the 3rd position, clawing back ever so many meters every stride on Churn. He's going to fly by him here with 4 laps to go for the pursuance in the men's race.
So Nick, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a great recovery.
Yep.
And you know what? Emmanuel probably saw those cards coming out and said, this is my opportunity. Let's go.
Corvera's a guy who has been consistently on the podium. He's caught up to Stringer. And how many times has he finished second behind Christie at these major events? He's trying to do that again. He did win the national title in Sacramento back in 2017 at USATF Outdoors as well. And that was a late comeback for Corvera in that race. And he has gotten right back on to Churn here. There are moments, I'm sure, in a race where you kind of have to gather yourself. You take that, maybe you dip back, but then you're able to summon something once again.
No, absolutely. And then, you know, like I said, you can throw in 1 kilometer a little too fast, or you hit that point where you just lose focus, and boom, regain it, right? Focus, get back into it, focus on stride frequency, increasing that a little bit, and all of a sudden you're in a different rhythm. You know, you fall out, you're fatigued, you're falling out of your technique, right? Because you have to maintain this technique over 20K. It's real easy to lose that focus, and if you can get back in the right rhythm, all of a sudden you're walking 5 seconds a kilometer faster with almost no more effort. And that's I think you just saw what Emmanuel did there, and I think he looks like he's walking as smoothly as he has the whole race right now. So he smells the finish line as well.
How early a morning do you imagine it was for these competitors? How long is the warm-up for a race like this?
Well, it's not a super long warm-up because you're doing 20K, but you're getting out there and making sure you're moving. And the number one thing, right, you need to make sure your nutrition's right. It's like if you're not getting up 4 hours out, 3 hours out minimum, you're not up early enough. So we're focused on hydration status, nutrition status, and doing all that stuff hours before the race. And then here you're just making sure your range of motion and you're warm enough to hold your race pace. And unfortunately, 20K is a relatively relaxed race pace in the big scheme of things. So you don't have to do a massive warm-up like a sprinter would to be able to fire it off at all cylinders.
Here comes Nick Christie with 2 laps to go. 800 meters, all that remains out of his 20,000 as he is marching on his way toward a 22nd national championship.
just off the screen there, one of the things that we saw in that previous lap was Jason Churn had tried to make a pass, try to keep pulling away from Emmanuel Corvera, and then guess who got locked up right in the middle of that was Lauren Harris, and they were passing other competitors, and they were going inside, going outside, but they were just trying to negotiate that. It was incredibly tense over here on the top bend at Hayward Field. Lauren Harris continuing to pull away. She's more than a mile ahead of her next closest competitor. We're seeing something really special on the day.
And this is going to be a really close race to the clock for Harris on that record on the track she set a couple of months ago. Her last 4 laps have been 150, 150, 150, and 151. She had a little cushion again before these laps on that record time, but the time to remember for her is 1:31:50:39 as Nick Christie turns around again. He's in his penultimate lap at the moment.
We're just talking about the traffic that those guys were encountering, the pursuant pack in the men's race. Nick really starting to feel the effects of this race right now, going by American 35K record holder Katie Burnett. Nick really launching into his final kick, and there is no, Nick has just been put into, is that Nick in the penalty box? No, I'm sorry. It was an athlete in front of Nick that was very challenging for me to see on the screen. Nick going into 450 meters remaining in this race. He's gonna hear the bell in just a few strides. Nick, what does it look like to be kicking into this race? What is he hoping to achieve on the final lap, Kurt?
He just wants to get through clean at this point. There he goes. Like, he knows it's 1/4 mile.
That is an immense change of pace from Nick Christie right there as he launches into his final sprint on the last circuit for 20,000 meters of racing here today. Nick Christie looking fantastic, maybe going to finish a little bit slower than what his very lofty goals were, but guess what? You're coming away with the national championship. That's a great consolation prize.
No, absolutely. Nick's always been an athlete that's going to go for it, right? He's going to set a really hard target. He knew he was going to be out here by himself, and he held it as long as he could. You saw him waver a little bit in the middle of the race, and here he is finishing probably at the same pace he hoped to do the whole race at, and he's looking pretty darn good. So Nick just needs a little more training under his belt, and he'll be back to his form that he was at before he had a little break for the basic training. 33
years old, out of San Diego, now competing for the Air Force World Class Athlete Program, and 200 meters away from his 22nd USATF National Championship. Clock still just at 1:24:23. There's a good chance to get this in sub 1 hour and 25 minutes. Christie on his final turn, 49 3/4 laps behind him, just a 1/4 lap to go here.
And Emmanuel Corvera is taking the bell as the second place finisher. Jordan Crawford in third and Jason Churn in fourth. Big shake up there, but this is all Nick Christie. This is his day. This is his track. He's powering towards the finish line, Bill.
Nick Christie has done it again. Wire to wire from out in the front. He wins again. 7 straight at the USATF Outdoors, as he let you know, and he did it in sub hour and 25 minutes, 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 56 seconds for Nick Christie.
That is a fabulous time, given where he was a couple months ago, and watching it optically, I didn't even think he was that fast. I mean, he looked great on that last lap, and he got it back together. Sub 125 as a solo effort is fabulous for Nick, and that bodes well for the next 3 years.
See Emmanuel Corvera, he's trying to move past Crawford. They've both overtaken Churn, so Churn made his move. Then he got into some trouble with the fouls, had to step back a little bit, and Corvera pounced on him, and he's leaving Crawford behind as well as Emmanuel Corvera circles around down the chute here.
Yeah, it's great to see Emmanuel. He did all that work for the majority of the race, and it looked like for a while that he was going to fall off and lose the 2 guys, and here he is finishing in the 2nd position. So great race for him. He was the benefit of Nick's basic training. He won the national indoor meet this year, so it's wonderful, and he has a lot more potential, and I hope to see him carry on from here and lead these other 2 young athletes to catch him. It was great to see the young athletes stepping up. And we have hope in the men's side as well.
They got 1 more lap to go here. So Corvera ahead of Crawford with 400 meters to go.
This is not over.
Behind.
This is not over. Crawford using those stems, using those long legs, clawing back ground on Crawford. Or sorry, excuse me, on Corvera. Emmanuel Corvera in 2nd place. Crawford in 3rd. Crawford has him in his sights. We've got a race on our hands.
Indeed. Emmanuel responded really well. He got close, and he made a nice little move there to get a little more distance back. I think he was maybe shocked that Jordan had snuck it back up on him like that.
And now Crawford trying to pick it up again on the back stretch. He's getting a little bit closer here in the back corner. Now he's getting a whole lot closer. Jordan Crawford coming up on Emmanuel Corvera with 200 meters to go.
They're looking up at the experience board, not turning around to see, but using the technology to their advantage. Emmanuel Corvera seeing how close in pursuit Jordan Crawford is. Corvera going to the arms, really launching into a furious final kick. Jordan Crawford trying to claw him back, trying to do everything he can over the closing meters of this race.
Crawford got a little bit closer on the backstretch, but Corvera using the turn to pull back ahead. And he comes down the home stretch for the 50th and final time on his way to what appears to be another runners-up finish at a USATF Outdoors. Corvera into his finish here. Crawford just behind. They'll complete the podium behind Nick Christie. Emmanuel Corvera takes second place once again. And he stops the clock just before the 128 mark. Crawford just on the other side of 128 finishes third. 127.59 for Corvera, 128.02 for Crawford. And here comes Churn to round out four. And we're about to hear the bell once again just behind Churn as we see the carnage on the track, because Lauren Harris is on her way to the bell lap. She just dropped another 1 minute 50-second lap the last time around. Her record she set on the track, 1:31:50:39. So she has more than 2 minutes to work with here. This is going to be a record-setting performance again for Lauren Harris.
The fans in the stands right now are on their feet. If there's anything, this crowd loves the walks. They are cheering her on. They are recognizing that this is a history-making performance as she goes by Miranda Melville, who's giving her some words of encouragement, trying to egg her on, pumping her arms. Lauren Harris on the back. This is the first time that I've seen any sort of distress on the face of Lauren Harris. She knows what she's about to do is achieve a personal best and rewrite the record books yet again.
She picked it up over the last 800 meters as well, went 1:48 on the last lap and is cooking again here down the stretch. Not going to take the water bottle the last time around. It's about 200 meters to go, and more than a minute to work with to beat her American 20,000 meter record on the track.
Yeah, and she knows it. You saw her crack a smile right there as she went past that aid station she skipped. She knows what she's doing, and it's great to see her solo effort. Solo effort.
Yeah, clearly had a pace target. The consistency over 50 laps has been most impressive from her. The widest range of her time of laps was 1:48 to 1:51 over the course of 50 laps.
Amazing, and she's enjoying this sort of victory lap, last 400 meters, and she knows exactly what she accomplished today. And it's amazing to do a solo effort and break your own American record is incredible.
Big smile on Lauren Harris's face. Keep an eye on her as she keeps getting faster and faster in these next few years. The 26-year-old from Long Island is on her way to a national championship and another American record. Lauren Harris gets it done. 1:31:27. Excuse me, 1:31:23.7. She breaks her record by 27 seconds. Second time this year she set the American record on the track.
That's amazing, and technically she looked as good at the last lap as she did at the start of that race, so it was a flawless performance.
And you want to know how dominant she has been? This is the second place walker, Maria Michikoff. She's about to hit a mile to go. 4 laps still for Maria. So that was just pure power from Harris there. Likely will win this race by a 10 to 12 minute margin.
Yeah, with her coach finishing second.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yep. Well, we were saying one of the things earlier before you got on with us, Kurt, that just from watching, very impressive about Maria as a coach is you can obviously see she doesn't try to make everyone emulate her. You couldn't be more different in the styles of walking. She finds what works for athletes and goes with that.
That's it. You obviously have a natural technique that works for you, and then it's about taking that, analyzing it, and then tweaking it to optimize it. And so there's always room for improvement, but exactly that. You recognize where your athlete is at, and you don't force something upon them that's not natural.
So Lauren Harris, again, dropping her time multiple times this year. And again, this is only like her second year coming back after taking the break after college. You see the podium on the men's side. Christie between Corvera and Crawford. Christie gold, Corvera silver, and Crawford bronze. Big smile from Nick Christie, who did keep it in the 124s, Will, which he was shooting for there, sub 125.
What a day at the races this morning. We have been treated to an absolutely unbelievable morning. Here are your results in the men's 20K walk. Nick Christie with another blazing performance, 124.56, sub 125 for Nick in a solo effort from the gun. Emmanuel Corvera in second and Jordan Crawford in third. Just a day to behold. That race for second, third, and fourth was keeping us on the edge of our seats the entire time, as these champions right now are celebrating the moment with some good photo opportunities. We still have a race in our hands on the track in the women's race for second, third, and fourth. These athletes are trying to make their way onto the NACAC team.
And it's gotten a little bit closer. So Maria Michikoff at one point had more than a minute lead over Katie Burnett in the race for second. That's down to 40 seconds here. Still a big gap for Burnett to try to overcome, but something to keep an eye on. And then Melville in fourth is about 40 seconds behind Burnett, who's in third, as Maria Michikoff continues to lead here. And you know, you've heard of a hip number. How about a ponytail number for Maria Michikoff? He's got the 9 on the ponytail there at the back side.
That's the first for me.
I think at one point in time that number was firmly planted on her back, but with a little bit of sweat and a lot of bit of walking, it has made its way to her ponytail. Here is Katie Burnett, the 35K American record holder, in third place right now in this race, clawing back some ground on Michikoff in second.
Yeah, Burnett, got to be somebody that you have a soft spot for as the distance specialist of this American women's side, record holder in the 50K and the 35K.
Absolutely. It's and she was out there doing 50Ks when there weren't a lot of female athletes. She's a groundbreaker in that area, and I hope to see us one day back there. And I think the marathon's going to be that step. We're going back to a longer distance, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's unfortunate LA 28 is going to have a half marathon instead of a full marathon, but we'll have that marathon at the World Championships in short order and the next time around, and look forward to seeing the athletes.
And like you said, just another way for folks who maybe don't follow the race walk closely to just get an idea of how fast people are going. It's one thing to say, hey, set your treadmill to 9 miles per hour and try to walk at that speed. It's another thing to hear, okay, this person ran this time in the marathon, and relate that to what the normal average runner who goes out and tries to run a recreational marathon can do.
No, absolutely right. There's 50,000 plus people that run New York every year who are going to know exactly how fast these walkers are, because they're going to be, most of them are going to be faster than they have a hope of ever running. And on the men's side, they're all, the top guys are going to be under 3 hours.
Yeah.
They're going to be under 3 hours if you want to bring home any kind of hardware. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they take that distance.
Maria Michikoff coming up on 800 meters remaining in her race for second.
Back up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Got my eyes peeled to the backstretch. I'm trying to see if anyone has something. Kurt mentioned having those boards back there. The leaderboards are telling you what the distance is to the competitors behind you. It does appear, for my money, to see that Maria, she's not really slowing down. She's obviously a veteran of this. She knows how to budget her effort. She's looking ever so slightly across the track to see where Katie Burnett is in that third position. But it does appear to me that she has got second place locked up. But look, we've seen crazier things in the world happen.
Yeah, the splits right now, Burnett just went 5 seconds faster than Michikoff on the last lap, but with 2 laps to go, there's still 32 seconds in between. So Michikoff has about a 150-meter lead on Burnett, but you're seeing that distance, endurance, power from Burnett here getting stronger at the end of the race.
Give Katie another 15K, and Maria's in trouble for sure.
What makes her such a good long distance runner? Is it just her sound technique?
Yeah, really sound, relaxed technique for the most part, and that's like the efficiency over the long haul, and she's stronger. You can look at an athlete and say, this Katie is a strong athlete, and that strength is something you need for the longer distances.
we talked about when folks are recruiting people for race walking, they oftentimes look at, say, an 800-meter runner or someone with some good carryover. She's from the not all that common javelin to race walking pipeline after a javelin injury in college.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see that strength vis-a-vis the typical race walking athlete.
All right, Maria Michnikoffi is coming up on her final lap here. In about 20 years at the top of race walking in the United States, still a podium contender every time she laces it up. And there's the bell for Maria Michnikoffi.
Dr. Michnikoffi passing Dr. Casey. I don't know how many other events on the track are full of doctors, a variety of different specialties, but Maria Michnikoffi, I would say going to the arms, but she's looked exactly like that from the very early stages of this race, powering by her competitors, working very, very hard to secure another silver medal, another podium position at a U.S. championship. Years and years and years of dominance in this event, getting to work with the woman who won today, Lauren Harris. She's got to feel very proud. But look at the face of Maria Michnikoffi. She does not look like she has walked 20K at all.
No, she's fine, right? She's done this hundreds of times, so you can see it. She looks the same as she did at the start, as you said, Will, and that's a testament to her fitness. And I think she knew where she was at, and she executed the race that she wanted to execute. Yeah, and you see that she looks great finishing up on the last 400.
So she and Katie Burnett both in their final 400 meters, trying to complete the podium on the women's side behind Lauren Harris, who just walked the American record of 1:31:23.7 to get the victory.
Here's Katie Burnett, who appears to be laboring quite a bit more, but trying to claw back round. Maria Michnikoffi, Katie Burnett, like, you know, this is a sprint for her, for that distance specialist, but here's Michnikoffi in the final, off the Bowerman turn, as Paul Swangard would say.
Got about 80 meters left, and she'll get to give a big hug to the athlete she coaches, who just set another record, and they'll celebrate 1-2 together, athlete and coach. Maria Michnikoffi with another great performance at a USATF outdoor. She's going to get in sub 1 hour and 40 minutes as Michnikoffi goes 1:39:56.8 for second. And Katie Burnett next to finish, coming around the bend.
It was great to see Maria see that standard of 140, and that last 100 meters was her fastest of the race. She got it done.
Yeah, it went 1:53 in those final 400 meters to make sure she got under the 1 hour and 40 minute mark. And now here comes Burnett. Maybe just down the other side of an hour and 40 minutes as she is on the podium at a national championship event. Again, she'll pick up a third place finish, coming across with Michnikoffi there to greet her. 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 35 seconds for Burnett to round out the top three. Okay, we know you got a lot of other responsibilities here as well, so we will let you go and get to them. But it's so great to have you with us and share your knowledge and insight about all these race walks.
Oh, hey, honored to join you guys. It was a lot of fun watching this race from the booth, as you say.
All right, Kurt Clausen, race walking legend and president of the USATF Board of Directors. So grateful that you chose to spend some time with us. Athletes continuing to finish here. On the men's side, 5th place was taken by Anthony Joseph Gradadoro. Bryson Healy took 6th place. On the women's side, Miranda Melville just got across for a 4th place finish in 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 12 seconds.
You know, sometimes when you see athletes high five and hug, it's a sign of respect and effort, but these race walkers, they truly are family out there together. They are the best of friends. They get along so well. They push each other in training and in racing, but just great to see that camaraderie show itself amongst the podium finishers and those just on the outside, as we saw Maria and Katie embrace Miranda Melville there, who finished in 4th place.
Yeah, there's a real community here. They all know the sufferfest that they just went through over the last hour and 30 or hour and 40 minutes. And shouted out afterwards. And again, you see the same people at every one of these big championships. So you're just obviously competitors, but you're going to build the camaraderie as well.
Absolutely. Look, Maria Michikoff just looks like she was out for a Saturday stroll, barely even having broken a sweat. Clearly the fitness for her is there, but very much dialed into the longer distances with her sights set on the 35K. But bravo, what an incredible performance today, going sub 140. With Katie Burnett hot on her heels. We sort of lost track of that as the race was going on, but I think it's because those gaps started to shrink so much, with Katie Burnett really starting to claw it back. And here are your official results for the top 3 finishers in the women's race. Lauren Harris breaking that American record, 131.23. Maria Michikoff, 139.56. Katie Burnett rounding out the podium for Harrier TC in 140.35.
All right, we have some time with a few competitors out there. So just for the sake of how consistent Lauren Harris was, I'm going to give you her full 50 lap splits, and you can hear this here. I know we've got some folks who want to hear it. She was 149, 151, 149, 150, 149, 151, 149, 149, 150, 150, 150, 149, 148, 150, 149, 149, 150, 149. A whole bunch more 149s.
I feel like I'm in Groundhog's Day right now,
yeah,
Bill.
A whole bunch more 149s all the way until about 1,600 meters to go. Then a bunch of 150s, and then closed it in 147. So absolute consistent performance and a record for her. Lauren Harris, one to certainly keep an eye on over the next 3 years, heading toward the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Congratulations to all the medalists: Lauren Harris, Maria Michikoff, and Katie Burnett on the women's side. And on the men's side, Nick Christie wins another national championship. Manuel Corvera takes second, and Jordan Crawford third.
And we have a big day of track and field in front of us, with the first para event taking place today at 12:15 Eastern time. We're getting a little bit wonky out here. We've been up for a long time. I got about 17 cups of coffee in me. I am jacked up on performances and a couple of substances, but right now this was an amazing morning from Hayward Field, watching the 20K Race Walk Championships. So we're gonna let the pictures take you away for now, but we have got so much action coming up on the track in just a little while.
Finishes up his 20,000-meter race walk. Stephanie Casey now on her bell lap. Angelica Harris finishes at 146.42. Lydia McGranahan on the backstretch from her bell lap as well.
Okay. Are you guys finished using your table? Yes. Great.
Finished sixth today. Giuliani at the experience board, both on the bell lap in this women's 20,000. Eugene, Ruby Ray.